talk to you like you. Okay, I'm gonna make you guys like raise your hands because I like to kind of interact with the audience a little bit, but I want to know like how many of you are graphic designers versus UX PDs? Who's graphic design? Raise your hand. Great, okay, this is fantastic. Any UXers? No? Couple? Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to give just a little bit of background on me, but I kind of straddle the line between both worlds. I do a lot of graphic design, like after hours. My bio is pretty tailored to the UX space, but that's like only a sliver of what I do. We'll kind of get into that. But I'm just going to do a little bit about me. So first and foremost, I'm a mom. I have a beautiful daughter, Daisy, and a little man, Barrett, and my husband, John. They are 14 months apart. It's a little crazy, so I love them. I'm from Utah. I grew up in Sandy. I went to Jordyn High School, and if anyone makes a joke about my name Jordyn and you don't name Jordyn, I might walk away. I won't walk away, but I have heard that many times. So Jordyn is Jordyn. Thank you. I have a dog. She's fantastic. Her name is Sage. I also have a cat. She's a bitch. But she kind us. She just like hisses at my kids, and we tried to rehome her actually earlier this year. Huh?
Rehome, I've never heard of rehome.
Oh yes. Rehoming did not work for our Lola baby. She is just a grumpy cat. We had this like, my grandma had some friends that were looking for a cat. They renamed her because Sunbeam did not pass. She is fabulous. She is bold. I mean, she's lovely. She loves me. She sleeps on my pillow every night, but she sees other kids, so therefore she gets that label. I went to UVU. I studied graphic design at UVU. I graduated from their VFA program, and then I taught the final capstone VFA class for 2.5 years. And this is my first semester not teaching for the last 2.5 years, so I am heartbroken. But I love it. UVU has one of the best programs I think in the state, comparatively to Utah State, but they're always setting the bar much higher, which is fantastic and stuff to compete. But yeah, it's a great school. I also run Salt Lake Design Week. I kind of took it over, and I don't know if that's like coach, but the AIGA chapter of Salt Lake City just kind of fizzled out. And I was like, well, I just don't really want to jump through hoops of like a national sponsor and like, I don't know, someone that I don't really talk to and have to like play by their rules, so they're not really helping. So I just kind of took it over, and now it's been sponsored by Design Law. But this last year, I single-handedly ran it, and it was a little intense. It was so fun. So if you go to Design Week, or if you're up here, if you put up Design Week, we're on Instagram, follow us. It's so much fun. Like I said, I'm in UX design. My previous employer was Domo. I was there for 3.5 years. It was super fun. I did a lot of ops things and like career leveling for designers and for the design team. We had a design team of about 16, I think. I think that was at our peak. I don't think they ever hit 20. But there were 16 designers. It was super fun. And now I'm at a cute little startup called Redo, and they're really, really fun. Startups are insane. I don't know if anyone has ever worked with a startup, but it is chaotic. It is like so much fun, and I love it. I love the team. I'm also doing UX there. There's a big need for like both UX and both like brand kind of thinking. So we'll kind of get into that. But I'm gonna make you guys raise your hand again for generalists and specialists. I'm also going to open my phone because I'll throw my all these notes. Hopefully I don't need to read it too much, but I just want to know, like, generalist, specialist. Do you know what a generalist and specialist is? Who's familiar with these terms? Yes? Kind of? Cool. Can someone define them for me? Would someone want to take a stab? Yeah, go ahead.
A jack of all trades versus somebody who's very narrow.
Yeah. So generalist, jack of all trades, specialist is someone that's more narrow. This I feel like I see more happening in like the UX space. I guess it happens in graphic design too, where you can like focus just on emotion or focus just on branding or just be like a type designer, right? You can focus on those different facets, but I think there's like way more overlap to happen within like the visual space where it's like, oh, I kind of like typography, but I also like branding, so we kind of marry those two and create like custom typefaces for my brand clients. Whereas in like the UX world, there's these people who like don't even do design, but they call themselves designers. That's another thing. If you follow me on LinkedIn, I will post about these silly little things that people love to talk about. We're trying not trying not to gatekeep the word designer, but I kind of do sometimes. But there's these people called like UX researchers, and I built up the UX research team at Domo, and so I find I'm pretty like in depth with like that area. And they're like, well, we're designers, and I'm like, well, maybe you don't do anything. Like you don't make anything visual. Like I don't think that that's like you help the cause, but you're researching. So anyway, there's like these different spaces in UX where there's just they're more siloed, right? There's like researchers, there's writers, there's only like strictly UX designers, which is like just the flow, or there's UI designers, right? And that's more like the visuals that you see. So we're gonna talk kind of both sides of the coin, like graphic design and UX. But I want to see again raising hands. Which one would you consider yourself? Do we have generalists here? Yeah, okay, any specialists? Anyone specializing? Can I ask what you're specializing in?
So I do feel like I straddle in the sense that like you could specialize, let's say, in branding, but you could do it with different clients. For some people specialize in a type of client. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I feel like I specialize in what I offer, but for the types of clients, there's
Yes. I love that. That's actually so interesting.
Can you repeat what she said?
Oh yeah, she specializes in like offering branding, but she doesn't specialize in saying I'm going to only offer branding for pet care.
Yeah.
Right. You don't. Yeah. I don't know why I picked that one, but you know, yeah. So yeah, I think that's a really, really good example. And I think like as you're early in your career or as you're like thinking about who you want to be as a designer, it's good to like try these different avenues, and we'll kind of get into that. But yeah, it's interesting because you can like specialize and need specializing further, and like people are finding like a lot of success in the niches. I think like with I wouldn't consider myself a career coach, but like the mentoring I'm doing is specifically with designers, and sort of like I'm not just giving blanket career advice to whoever. Like I'm working specifically with designers, so it's interesting. And I know people have like talked about T-shaped designers versus like, I don't know, but it's like I-shaped designer. I think that might be the opposite. But now there's something called a cone-shaped designer, and that's when it's like the bar is up top. You kind of learn everything that you want to learn and see what's interesting to you. When you start pulling down in these different pockets, and I don't know, I've had a lot of success doing that. So it's super interesting. But we're going to move on. I'm going to read this from the excerpt and how this all kind of ties into layers. So, simplicity provides clarity, but layers give our work a richer complexity and depth. Musicians fuse melodies, harmonies, and rhythms to create more dynamic compositions, while other artists use a juxtaposition of colors, textures, images, or materials for greater visual impact. The creative magic happens when those choices conjure different interpretations and emotions. So this is from the theme that was sent from the national sponsors of CreativeMornings, just surrounding layers. And I think this is how it kind of overlaps into being a generalist versus a specialist. But we are going to kind of shift gears a little bit, and we are going to talk about geometry. So, who all grew up going to public schools? Yes? You grew up public school? Yeah, okay, great. So you all learned geometry, you all learned probably algebra, you probably learned chemistry, right? And did any of you, while you were learning those things, think to yourself, like, why the hell am I learning this? Like, this is a complete waste of time. I hate it. I'm going to get a C. I'm not even, like, a barely pass. I did that, like, all throughout my grad school or, like, my grade school experience. I would be learning something and I would say, you know, my brain just doesn't think this way. There's no benefit. It sucks. Like, I hate it. And I just fought it. And I just don't think that I've learned that it wasn't as bad as I have made it out to be. But I asked our lovely friend, ChatGPT, to break it down for me and why we learn these arbitrary random subjects in school. And this is what the prompt said this is what ChatGPT said when I asked, why did I learn geometry in school? So, learning subjects like geometry in school serve several important purposes beyond the immediate practical applications. One key reason is that these subjects help develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Engaging with abstract concepts in geometry encourages students to think logically, analyze complex situations, and approach problems from multiple perspectives. This cognitive development is beneficial across various fields in everyday life. So I also asked why we learn the other seemingly meaningless subjects in school, and I kind of want to break it down because it was interesting, what goes into it, and that it kind of does make sense. So if we're going to look at science, and I'll just read these pretty quick. Science, like biology, chemistry, physics, and earth science, is beneficial because it encourages inquiry-based learning, experimentation, and the scientific method. This is also not, sorry. Physics develops spatial reasoning and analytical thinking, much like geometry. So physics, I thought was interesting, the spatial awareness kind of thing. That comes up in design quite often. My dad has a business where he manufactures backpacks and soft goods, and I help him with trade show booths, and so it's insane. I have to know spatial awareness without using, why do I put a giant logo up right in the middle of the booth and he's trying to sell product? Doesn't work, right? So that's a whole nother experience design that has been crazy and can kind of be tied to science, I guess. Then you have math. We kind of talked about math a little bit, but the benefits, it enhances logical reasoning, problem solving, and pattern recognition. This pattern recognition, I don't know, I'm seeing this come up more and more in my career, and I don't know if anyone else is seeing this come up, where especially in UX, I have to recognize patterns and the pathways that people are going to take to do a specific job. So right now I'm designing something for e-commerce merchants, so I have to know the patterns that the customers will take to check out a product, right? For your branding projects, you have to understand the patterns and the things that people are used to seeing when they're interacting with specific brands, right? There's kind of a level of expectation. So I thought that was interesting when I was thinking about math. With music. So music also, it improves pattern recognition, memory, and multitasking abilities. There's a designer on my team, we call him Yuga Bob. I don't know if you want to see him, SpongeBob, but he will sit with the podcast on, music on, and then the design. And we're Patrick, can we calm down? Sorry, I did just name names. I did get him under the wall thing for Christmas, so he does some of this. Anyway, but he just has so much going on. And I think, as designers, at least I've seen in my, way I work, we're kind of, doing a lot all the time. So, interesting that learning music can help you with that. Art is a big one, obviously. I'm going to read what ChatGPT said. It boosts creativity, spatial intelligence, and problem-solving skills. An example would be drawing and sculpting require visualization similar to geometry. I think there's an illustration that I love that is Leonardo da Vinci, and it's with all the hands. I love that he was really analytical with how he approached his work. So these kind of things live way more closely than we would realize. We then have social studies and foreign languages. So foreign languages enhances memory, cognitive flexibility, and problem solving. Social studies encourages critical thinking, perspective taking, and cultural awareness. We talk a lot about diversity and hiring diverse perspectives, right? You can't design in a vacuum. And so if you have a team and you have the luxury of hiring more designers, hire someone that doesn't think like you, hire someone that doesn't look like you, hire someone that can bring in a new perspective so you're hitting all the different use cases and the different things that will happen so you can create best experience or visual or anything because we can't come up with it all by ourselves, right? We only have one perspective. And then you have PE. So PE develops coordination, spatial awareness, and strategic thinking. Working at a startup in Silicon Slopes, I think we maybe lean it too much into the subject. There's a lot of men that I work with, and they love to script and they love to run, and there's a lot of competition, but it's really fun. And then lastly, we have computer science. So computer science strengthens logic, problem solving, and creativity. An example would be coding involves step-by-step thinking similar to solving math problems. So a big thing that comes up a lot in the UX space is should designers code. And I have fought this to the nail for most of my career, and I think I'm coming around to it. I don't know if I will ever learn how to code like as well as my developers on my team, but there are these awesome resources. One is called Replit, where you can build like your own apps. So if you want to be part of Design Lab, if you're in that, an app is maybe coming that probably won't work, but it will be built by me, and I will kind of just like take that to New York, like how it went and what I learned. So anyway, I don't think like these subjects are as like siloed as maybe we think they are. And then I just asked like, what are the benefits for all of these? And lovely ChatGPT there, I promise I won't quote them the rest of the time, said each of these subjects has helped students train their brains to think in different ways, solve problems efficiently, and adapt to new challenges. Skills that are valuable beyond the classroom. So why am I talking about this in relation to design? We're not probably ever going to need to learn geometry. We're never going to have to get out. Well, I actually know I've seen some designers get out the compasses and draw on the logos, but we're probably never going to have to know any of this stuff that people are really remember, right? But I think it applies to just what we want to do in our careers and where we want to go. Let's talk about all the different buckets of design. This is just like the surface of design and what could go into it. We have graphic designers, interior designers, motion, industrial, game, interface designers, fashion, illustration, user experience, just web designers, architectural designers, product designers, both physical and online, brand designers, landscape, marketing, design manager, researcher, ops designer. Does anyone see anything that's like not represented up here? That's a pretty big bucket that I missed. Yeah.
Design thinking?
Design thinking. Well, that's a little, we're gonna muddy the territory because anyone can be a design thinker, right? I don't know. Yeah, we can include that. We can include that in here. Anyone else have anything? Yeah, way in the back.
Do you have urban designer?
Urban design, yeah, that's good. Wayfinding, I don't have that up here. Right here.
What do you think about writing or copywriter?
I know, copywriting is tricky because I don't know if I would consider it design, but it works really closely with design. I would definitely consider it creative. So we could add it up here. And yeah. Yes.
What about sound design, like when you think of EVs and things like that?
Yes, yes. So we are actually looking at like voice design too.
Yeah.
Like voice 2X, that's a series.
Same thing with haptics too.
Haptics?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Go ahead.
Process design.
Process design, what do you mean? Oh, like ops kind of thing, like operations? Yeah. I do that for quite some time ago. It's fun. It's fantastic.
You mentioned church books, so it used to be fun.
Yes, we don't even have that up there, right? Anyone else want to toss anything? Packaging, yeah, that goes into it. Back there again?
Leans into some of the others, but environmental design.
Oh yeah, environmental design. That one was super fun in school. I feel like they like glossed on it and then like didn't talk about it ever again. But it's very interesting. Like design is everywhere, right? You can like close your eyes and just point somewhere and it was designed probably by a human somewhere. But this can feel a little overwhelming. It can feel a little hard trying to decide what you want to do in your career or where you want to go. I don't know, I'm also going to feel raise your hands again. How many of you are like 1 to 3 years in your career? Okay, a couple of us. How many of us are like 3 to 8? Okay. How many of us are 10 plus? Awesome. So that gives me hope that I won't end up peaking it if I can stay for a long time. But if you're feeling stagnant in your career, or if you're early, it's nice to kind of take a pause and just like look at the world of design around you and say, is there something I can learn different? Is there something I can add to my skill sets? And there's just a plethora of stuff going on that you can do. So I'm also going to read just a little bit of my notes right here. So the benefits of picking the different categories of design and just figuring out what you like, it will help with like an expanded skill set equals more opportunities. I can't tell you how much this has come up in my career where I can do the visual design, but I can also do UX, and people love that. People love it. I also do motion, and I'm not great at it. Like if you guys saw my process, you'd be like, what the hell are you doing? Like you took something that would take half an hour and you made it last 3 hours? No. So I can do it. I can get by, not the best practice, but I can do all these different things in design, and it's come up at both of my big jobs that I've had in the last like 6 years, I've done motion and I've done branding and I've done slide deck design. We get a lot of, but I've also done like UX, so it will definitely give you more opportunities. Better communication of ideas. So this is something that I think we all want to be better at, right? How many of us would consider ourselves a communicator? I say that we're like translators, especially if you're working in like with clients or in a role with a team or with stakeholders. You need to be able to communicate all the ideas around you for all the different requirements you're getting. And if you're able to do that through different veins of expertise and mediums, it'll just help you, right? It'll just help your case. It'll help you have more effective user experiences. This is specifically for me. We eat with our eyes, right? That's, I think, why UX designers need to know visuals. I think it's like a non-stop. Like if you don't know visuals, goodbye, you're not a designer. That's maybe rude, but you will create more effective user experience if you are able to make something beautiful. We all want to surround ourselves with beauty, right? Especially as creatives, us, right? But I think everyone else does too. Like no one wants to use something that looks bad or that is hard to use or doesn't make sense, right? And I think if you're able to marry kind of a logical with the visual, it'll just make you that much more impactful. And then it'll also give you stronger problem-solving abilities. So I'm going to read a couple of bullets I wrote down about this. So exposure to various design styles helps designers adapt to different projects and solve design challenges more creatively. Example, a designer who understands 3D design can create immersive experiences for AR and VR applications. But this, I think also, this specific like stronger problem-solving skills comes from like art history too, who took art history in school. I think I almost minored in it. I love art history. I think it is fantastic. And I think understanding just like our roots and like where art has come from will help you figure out how to solve a problem, right? Or like solve for a visual problem for a client. Say you have a client that's like, oh, I really want to be like regal and I want to feel like royalty or something, or I don't know, what are you gonna pull from? Like purple, maybe that like denotes royalty. You can maybe get real into it and use like see black letter type, but it just helps us build that foundation to be stronger problem solvers, right? And then a cohesive brand and aesthetic. This, I think, like, I feel like we're doing such a disservice having product designers and brand designers sitting at opposite tables. I think that if companies truly care about creating a cohesive brand and a cohesive experience, they will marry the two and they'll have each other talking to each other more often, right? I don't know if anyone here works like at a company that has UX designers, but I worked at a company where I didn't even see my brand designers. Like I never talked to them. And how disjointing is that to have like your outward marketing say one thing and then when you actually use the product, it doesn't like translate. So I think in my ideal world of design that those roles are more embedded with each other. And then the last thing is staying competitive and innovative. So I think like designers are some of my favorite people because it's like we like to play nice, but we're pretty competitive. Like we like to be the best. Like oh, I'm a free spirit. I'm honest. And then it's like I'm gonna be better. Get hired for this job that people want, right? It's an interesting space to me. At least like I found that mostly I was in school because I'm fully competitive. But this will help you. Yes. It's fully positive. But it helps you stand out, right? If we go back a couple slides and we take like 2 or 3 different things from this, or even if you just go into like graphic design and you're like, I really want to know motion so I can like up-level the logos I'm creating, or if I'm really interested in user experience, but I also want to learn motion because that'll help create delight for whatever product I'm designing, right? You don't have to pick all of these, you can pick 1 or 2, and it will help you stand out a lot. So, what I want you all to do, how I want you all to leave today is like as a blank slate and just kind of think about like what you can gather and what things you can work on and what things interest you. I'm going to kind of go through what my process has been and what I've stuck with. So I started, this is a tiny photo, I should make this bigger, but I started with photography. I did photography in high school, and I also, I'm airing my grievances about the design community, I'm so sorry guys, but I did not do design out of the womb like most speakers will tell you. I did not grow up with the epiphany that I was a designer. I was just bestowed upon me from God. Maybe it was. But I did photography. I thought it was really fun. I just took pictures with my friends. I was also a cheerleader, and so I had a lot of friends that liked getting pictures taken of themselves. So I did photography all through high school, and I wanted to go to school for something creative and not just go be like a receptionist or go be an engineer or go be something that seemed boring. I wanted to do something creative and make money. And if any of you know, being a photographer in Utah is a dime, right? There's so many photographers in Utah. And I think like if you work really hard, you can stand out. I still do it. But it's just hard, right? It's pretty competitive, it's oversaturated, but that's kind of where I started. And I have an aunt that worked at Access 41, which was a gold agency up here in Salt Lake, and she was fantastic. She had me come in and talk to the creative director. They told me that UVU had a really good program for design, and that I should go there because they did a great job of like marrying creating a brand and being able to design that brand in an online space, but also in the physical world. So, okay. But yeah, so I just went through and I just collected the different things that worked for me. I do, like I said, a bunch of community events. It's super fun. That's from Design Week and some illustration. But as I've gone through my career, I've just collected these things that I like. And if I don't like it, I don't do it. I just stop doing it. And I think the quickest way to find out what you're good at is just to say yes to educate. I also have a podcast that's been really fun. It's been on break for a little bit, but it's been great. So, yeah. Just collect things that you like and collect things that make sense to you, and then you start to build up those layers that go into your career and go into the skill sets that you can provide to a company. And as you start peeling them back, you get you. Oh, but yeah, that's all I have. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll stick around later if you want to follow me here, right? Socials down there. So, thanks.